Mega Man Comic Issue 52. So now that Sonic and Mega Man are super, Sonic's attack gets blocked by Sigma since he's equally matched against him. And so they're all invincible, so their invincibility cancels each other out. Seeing the word kablam there made me think about how if this was being realistic, the sound of that would deafen everyone but Sigma because the source is so big. But I guess Sigma intentionally made it not deafening for his sake, and couldn't imagine it being deafening for others at the same time. Zero complains about sitting on the sidelines, and Sally says that it may not be enough, as realistically she's hurt from the fight earlier and Six is helping her stand. She tells Nicole to tell her why in the world Sonic and Mega Man wouldn't be enough. She says that she's been magically scanning the background radiation spectrum, because she can do that for no reason when it normally wouldn't benefit Rotor at all. Sigma's abuse of the portals is shredding reality, and yet the Zone Cops didn't shred reality. I'm reminded of the excuse for why there'd be an apocalypse scenario 25 years later right now. But somehow that was blamed on Sonic's zone hopping, when obviously the Zone Cops would have done the bulk of it. Again, it's not like the portals stay open forever so that they leak out space-time continuum blood. And the space-time continuum isn't an organic being. X has to rally everyone they recruited so they can prepare to evacuate. Meanwhile, Eggman and Wily get to the Master Engine, planning on taking control of it to take over reality. Eggman says that the monitors are conveniently showing them destabilization across space-time, and Wily says he can just wipe it all and rebuild anew. Yeah, I guess by all he means all except him and Eggman. Otherwise that'd be very stupid of him. I like that they aren't betraying each other and are staying best friends. This better last, because if they aren't going to betray each other, then that is going to be one thing it has over Worlds Collide. Xander thinks that this is just proving him right that advanced technology is going to kill them all. Well, nukes do exist, so he's not entirely insane. But reality being rewritten isn't going to kill them all. He thinks to himself that he's foreseen himself saving the world, and he wonders what he's missing because he and the doctors are here. It makes sense that Xander isn't trying to push them away and control reality himself as the predictable way to betray them because he didn't build the Master Engine. So he doesn't know how to take control of this technology as opposed to. So he's just being a hero, and that was his only plan. Well, if that's the case, wasn't it a bit confusing to portray him as a bad guy the whole time as if he had an evil plan? Well, it is good to be surprising when it makes sense. Sonic flies around in space, avoiding an eye laser explosion from Sigma, who brags. And then Mega Man charges up a giant fall of power, which wastes more than one panel landing for no reason. Sonic then wastes our time asking if he was trying to blast their planets apart, which of course freaks him out. At least that reminds us that Mega Man's a nice guy who would naturally be worried about being too powerful, and he justifies that he thought since Sigma's so powerful he needed to overcompensate. Of course, this giant energy ball didn't even appear to damage Sigma, somehow, so he sends flying ghost heads of himself at them, and then he realizes that the energy feed from the Master Engine has stopped and he needs a moment to retreat. If he's so powerful, why doesn't he just Chaos Control teleport away from them? So wouldn't the energy ball hitting him have been just as good a justification for him weakening and getting owned by the heroes afterwards then? Instead he only weakens after sending those heads out, which did nothing anyways. I guess Sonic spin dashed through Sigma, but I can't tell because the artist is doing such a poor job of the fight scene that after all Sigma did, I don't even get to see Sonic attack him. I don't get to see his foot collide with him or anything. It's a bit satisfying to finally see him attacked so much, but it should be better. He doesn't look damaged. Sonic tells Mega Man to do a slightly smaller shot this time, and he shoots Sigma, which at least we get to see properly as he goes through him. But this is obviously not nearly as satisfying as something as relatable as him getting physically hit. I hope he's going towards him that whole time. I have to wonder why or if Mega Man X is going to join in on the fight. But to be fair, the panels would have less room if he was here redundantly wasting space being just like Mega Man. Why have two Mega Man characters for this and one Sonic character? I hope Mega Man was at least charging the whole time he was wasting his time explaining his power to him. And Sonic wasn't even doing anything. But that can't be it, he's faster than that. I want to see Sigma get smacked around like a ragdoll. I want to see him get bounced around like an AOSCH character. Instead I feel like he's about to get defeated, when he hasn't been made to suffer nearly enough. So he just gets destroyed in 2 panels of light, which isn't nearly as satisfying as it could be. Too bad the reality machine can't be used to bring back the preboot continuity, which other comics have done when their reboots happened. It's a shame because that was foreshadowed so clearly. He asks what they're gonna do about all those portals, and the heroes near Sally want to sacrifice themselves to rescue as many as they can from this world. Of course, the celestial brush can't affect the portals. It's not the end of the story yet. What made Knights think the Paraloop would do anything? Sonic says casually that he'll just use his supercharged Chaos Control with Mega Man again to fix everything. It's not the end of the story, and he's confident, so I wonder if this will somehow not save the day. Oh, nothing happened. Somehow reality is too messed up for Chaos Control from super forms to work anymore, even though that wasn't the case in Worlds Collide. Definitely not canon to the preboot. If he can recreate all reality with Chaos Control, he can close a bunch of goddamn portals. Silver can do that without a super form. The writer clearly wrote himself into a corner here. Actually, it would have made sense if their super form simply ran out before they could try. So, the heroes failed at saving the world, but I guess they were still necessary and still had to do everything they were doing because they provided a vital distraction for Sigma. Maybe if they weren't there, then the day wouldn't be saved by somebody else. Okay, so the portals are collapsing, so that's not nothing happened, Sonic. Maybe he only closed the portals that he couldn't see. Or opened. But that makes no sense. And why does Sam Bison want to keep them open? I thought they wanted them closed, and that's why the universe was collapsing. Because they're leaking out space-time continuum blood. Then someone says the magic doesn't work anymore. Even though, if anything, reality breaking down would mean that magic would work a lot better because there'd be less resistance from the laws of physics. Plus, if those laws broke even a little bit, they'd obviously all be dead. The writer didn't think this through. We shouldn't have seen this. It's just a waste of time. I don't think we needed reality to be gradually shredded. That could have not been written, and no one would have noticed. Also, if she thinks that the moons give her strength, why did they ever work when she was in another universe from them? Those are some moons! Wily finally overrides the security on the Master Engine, and Eggman and Wily somehow say the exact same thing. This would be a pretty dark ending to the comic if this was the final issue, and they actually succeeded. But then Xander holds a gun to them, telling them to keep their hands in the air. But of course he won't shoot them in the heads, because he's an idiot. And the writer has to force him not to, because that ends both franchises. It makes no sense he wouldn't do that when he hates technology and wants them dead. I like that it was explained why he had that gun. He told Rotor and Tails that one of the Robot Masters needed it, and everyone was so busy preparing for the big fight that nobody had time to second guess him. It's more like they had no past grudge against him. He tells them to step away from the Master Engine, and Eggman says that if Xander used it, he'll go against his anti-technology beliefs. If he really hated technology too much to ever use it for himself, he'd have gotten his bionic eye removed. So it makes sense that he used it anyways. And he's fortunately moral enough to not rewrite reality his way. You'd think if he really cared about hating technology, he would do that. But apparently he's not such a bad guy after all. My point with him was that he showed basically no personality and charisma, and was a stereotypical serious bad guy trope. It is more interesting for Xander to save the day instead of the main heroes. And I guess it was foreshadowed and makes sense. As long as he never does anything evil again after this, I think saving the multiverse would be enough to redeem him. I mean, I'm certainly forgiving him. I thought it'd be a surprise villain at the end, but instead he was a surprise hero. And I'd rather that than have another jerk. Then we see a panel from back in the first issue of the arc, where Sigma says that he'd hoped to scout out his destination longer before making his move. Xander sees the moment that Sigma came to this reality, and he aims a gun at Eggman, saying that he'll stop this before it ever started. By shooting Sigma? Wily's just as manipulating as him. Eggman asks what'll happen to Xander, since he's directly tied to it. So, he'll do a heroic sacrifice. Officially not a bad guy here. It's too bad I won't get to see Eggman thank him. He's happy to risk undoing their evil and creating realities where the technology doesn't threaten them all, and he shoots past both of them instead of shooting them. How does he expect to actually kill Sigma when he's clearly just a holographic head right now? I can understand if he shot a physical form of his, but no, even then, wouldn't it be built to withstand that? Didn't he not have a physical body? Also, I assume the reason Sigma keeps coming back from the dead is because he just backed himself up as a program. Wouldn't he just wake up in a backup? Maybe he's not as overpowered as Rick, I don't know. So, what exactly did he shoot? Because it looks like he just shot the wall behind X, not Sigma himself. And yet somehow fixes everything, though the art makes it look like the opposite happened. This is an awesome ending. I'm glad Xander is being such a hero. But seriously, why didn't we see Sigma get shot? That sounds like something we should have seen. It's not like everyone really likes him. So we cut to that moment back in time, where X says that he thinks he shot Sigma, even though clearly the shot hit the wall. I guess the shot went through Sigma and hit the wall afterwards. We obviously should have seen this shot hit Sigma. That was common sense because he's a jerk. And again, how would a shot do anything to a holographic head? Was it a solid hologram? I guess so. That guy's a moron. He completely missed the benefit to holograms. Even then, isn't a hologram projected by something else? That something else would have to be destroyed to destroy Sigma. It's amazing that Zero and Axel are disappointed because they want a shot at Sigma. X hopes Sigma's gone for good, and he better be, or else there'll be no justification for this arc not happening all over again. Then we see Sonic on the Sky Patrol, and Eggman on the Death Egg as opposed to Lost Hex somehow. I don't see how that happened. It's bullshit that Sonic and Eggman still have lingering memories of what was completely undone by time travel. All Xander did was shoot through a time portal. He didn't rewrite reality to be like this. It actually would have made more sense if he had rewritten reality. It was sweet of Sonic to show how much he actually cares about Shadow, even in spite of how he is. Because he immediately asks Nicole to get a line to him and says that he's okay. It makes me think of an alternate universe where Sonic and Shadow are best friends. It's sad that Shadow's just like, why wouldn't I be? It's so creator's pet that Sonic and Eggman have lingering memories, because it's not like reality was literally rewritten this time. That'd keep it simple. I hate meta logic. Just because they're the main protagonist doesn't mean they should have special privileges. So Eggman changed his mind about invading the Lost Hex, and he guesses that another plan failed. They don't literally remember it, but the point is, this is all bullshit. Them not literally remembering it is even more complicated and confusing than them actually remembering it. If they don't actually remember it, wouldn't they just dismiss the funny feeling they have? People have funny feelings all the time because they get worried about stuff happening. Eggman would have just dismissed his funny feeling and been arrogant. And while it was nice of Sonic to pet Tails, we didn't actually see his hand on his head, so that sucked. Sonic has no reason to know Mega Man was ever met again. This page didn't need to exist. Then out of nowhere, Wily wakes up in a place he was hiding at because he really didn't die after all. And he sees what I assume is a future version of him in a Mr. X disguise. Wily says that it's been Mr. X all along and asks how. What does he mean? He says, "You two did try to warn me. Time travel is such tricky business." What does he mean? Why would he go back in time? He didn't have anything to do with the plot. He tells Wily that he's had a trying day apparently and tells him to work tomorrow. And Wily isn't sure what happened. And neither am I. So this writing sucks. He wouldn't know anything about World Tonight because it just undid itself. This is repeating the same inexcusable mistake that Sonic 06 did, where Sonic and Elise kinda remember what happened when the game was undone. What is it about Flynn and gladly repeating 06's mistakes? The only reason he wouldn't have written that plot is that it's got new ideas in it. And seriously, why isn't there a name tag box below this Mr. X to try to explain this more? Because Mr. X in the game was Wily in disguise. So if they're gonna be original, they should try to explain it for people. Meanwhile, Mega Man's confused for no reason. Roll hugs him and he pets his dog, and he somehow has lingering memories. And then somehow even Styx remembers, and not Roll, and told her friends all about it over a campfire. I guess her so-called friends will assume she was making the whole thing up because they're just a bunch of assholes. This shouldn't have been shown. At least Amy seems to believe her because she asked what happened to everyone else. Styx says that you can't mess with the essence of everything without changes. Why not? You know, I think the fact that she's got two traumatized witnesses to the whole thing who clearly also remember for no reason should be proof to Sonic. I can kinda understand the meta logic with everyone else remembering, but why do these nobodies remember? She says that she bets there's tons of other worlds, and at the middle of it is the Nexus. I don't get what this panel's trying to tell me. Why would the Nexus be Sonic's world? This issue was by Ian Flint, and was about Super Sonic and Mega Man defeating Sigma in a bunch of light, instead of him getting a bunch of physical slapstick that would actually be satisfying to watch after all the boredom and frustration he put me through. That was way too few pages for how much he sucked. I love that Xander actually turned out to be a good guy. He could have easily rewritten reality how he wanted it, but instead, he stayed true to his principles and only created a time portal so he could shoot through it and destroy Sigma at the start of the arc. So the whole arc never happened. And yet, the main characters of the arc still have funny feelings that carry over to the present and remember that they were in a crossover. And yet they don't remember everything about it anymore. Because that's not convoluted bullshit at all. Well, it was worth it to see Sonic happy that Shadow's okay. That was sweet. But it was offset by Shadow's cold reaction. I'd rather see him with a sad and confused expression. I'd rather he thank him for actually caring about it more than he'd expect. But no, that'd be too polite of him. Well, I guess that was a good story. I'm glad Styx was in the arc, but it could have done without 90% of the cameo characters because they left no actual impact at all. I'm definitely gonna forget about the Panzer Dragoon people. This was easily better than Worlds Collide because, boring padding aside, at least I wasn't infuriated with every issue for how forced the writing was. There were actually some good stories in here. There was a surprise hero at the end.